Hello and welcome back to Mama's Little Homestead, where we encourage you to grow where you're planted. I'm Samantha and we are planted on a 1/3 acre in a typical suburban neighborhood in Southern Idaho. We have about 1,000 square feet of growing space that we've developed in our regular backyard, trying to grow as much food as possible organically without the use of fertilizers, chemicals, and artificial things. So I am very excited today to take you on a spring tour to see what's growing, what's not yet growing in our April garden. So a lot of things have changed in the garden since our last growing season. We actually put in some arched trellises, which is going to really increase our growing space this year. And over here behind me, this tree has just grown up so much. Very excited about that, even though it does block a little bit of the morning sun, so that kind of changes the game on exactly what we're going to grow in this space. But over here we actually had some space open up. So when we moved into this property, we had this tree that was growing up in the garden space back here, and I just thought, oh, I'll plant around it, I'll use the shade. Well, we actually ended up having to cut it down because it started to die off one branch at a time. We don't know exactly what happened. I was sort of afraid it was maybe fire blight or something that was gonna get pollinated over into our orchard that we have in the backyard behind this fence. So we just kind of checked on it last week by cutting off a branch. We cut entirely through the branch, and that branch, no signs of green. First I scraped off a little bit of the bark just to see there was no green. So we chopped it down. This is all that's left, and so actually we're going to be cutting that down even a little bit more as we go through the season here, and I'm planning on moving this trellis over here. Pinwheel from my kids' party. We're planning on moving this trellis, and then the one that isn't even set up yet. These are going to move over here, so my tomatoes will be a little bit closer to the gate. That's what we're going to put in here. Oh my gosh, this bindweed is absolutely my biggest nemesis in this garden space. No matter what I do, it persists. And actually, if you didn't know, I'm an author, and I recently have written a book based on C.S. Lewis's The Screwtape Letters, where there's a senior demon advising a younger demon on how to tempt someone. In my book, it is a senior demon advising a demon on how to tempt a mother. I named the demon after this weed. Another name for the bindweed is bellbind, and so that is the demon name. The book is called The Bellbind Letters, and it's actually going to come out next spring, a whole year from now. We're in the editing process now with my publisher, but just to say how much I absolutely despise this weed. I'm out here every day hacking away at it, and it just keeps coming back. It will not die. It is so sinister. That's how strongly I feel about this weed. So the reason that we are actually going to be moving this trellis in this area is not only because of the sinister presence of the bindweed that will not stop coming up, but because I want to use this space for a greenhouse. This is the southernmost side of our property, so it actually gets really good sun here all year round, and I'm hoping to use some thermal energy natural heating tips so we don't have to supply any supplemental heat with electricity. We'll see how that goes. I will update you. We'll show a little bit of the greenhouse build, as much as my husband will let me. He doesn't like being on camera. So this arch right here is going to be our melon arch. We're going to grow our vining plants up vertically this year to try to maximize the growing space we have. And these, like I said, are tomatoes, cucumbers, things like that, are going to go in on the trellises in these two beds that are a little bit closer to the gate, because access is key. Already the chives are coming back a little bit, and you could kind of see, okay, so here's that more of that weed that I need to battle. This is not weed. This is my attempt at cover crop, And you'd see some of it I cut, and some of it I actually pulled up a little bit farther by the roots, and the stuff that I pulled up by the roots is dying off, but the things that I just cut are not dying quite right. I was trying to add some fertility back to the soil, but not all of the seed germinated, and I did this a couple of years ago, and the seed didn't germinate. That was my fault. I just planted it way too late, and a couple of things came up in the spring. But with this, I definitely planted it at exactly the right spot, and the germination rates were just really low. And it's not the first time I've bought seed from that nursery and it's been a little old and not worked out for me. In the future, I probably will just go with leaf mulch because we have that in abundance. We live in a suburban neighborhood. People are very happy if you're like, can I please bag up those leaves and take them away for you? They think it's too good to be true. I think it's too good to be true that I can get free mulch. And that's another good way of adding life back into the soil over the winter. Over here, we have the remnants of some of that leaf mulch that I was talking about that I need to just pull off. Feather. Feather's not part of my gardening plan, it just happens to be there. Then this one coming back is the lemon thyme, and this is the regular thyme. It already, just from me touching it, smells so good. In this bed is some of our garlic. I am growing hard and soft garlic this year. Last year, I made the mistake of only growing hardneck garlic, which was fabulous because we did get the scapes, even though I harvested them a tad too late. They were still really great. The hard ones, I just cut them up, washed them, froze them, put them in the freezer, and then I would throw them into soups, stews, stocks, things like that. It added really good flavor, and the ones that were still good, I fried those up for my family and they were delicious. So I highly recommend growing garlic. We'll talk about that in the fall, I guess, when it gets to be planting time. But because you can grow that hardneck and you can get the scapes, and you can only get the scapes if you are a gardener or you are going to some farm to table restaurant where they're very into the actual seasonal produce that they're putting on your table. Regardless, this year I'm growing both hardneck and softneck varieties, and I got a bunch of different varieties because I thought it would be really fun to taste test. And I actually paid quite a bit for the seed garlic because in Idaho it is illegal to protect our industry. It's illegal to just plant what you get at the grocery store. I don't know how they regulate that, but rule follower. So I bought all the different varieties they had at our nursery, and so there are some softneck and some hardneck. And why that's important: so the hardneck, very fun, you get the scapes, but doesn't store as well. So we're about, let's see, I harvested in July and now it's April, so however many months that is, honestly, the hardneck garlic, I had plenty to last for the year, but it spoiled. So I have just cleared out all of my garlic, and I won't have any new garlic from the garden until July. So hopefully next year we'll go through it and I will keep the variety separate, and we'll actually store the softneck and save that, eat all the hardneck garlic first after the taste test to see which one we like the best and which one we want to plant next year. But I really don't want to end up throwing away my garlic that I worked so hard to grow again. So tip for you, if you want to grow a year's supply of garlic, you can see how I did all of that, how I stored everything up, but make sure that you grow the right variety and store the right variety and eat up the spoiling one first. Same thing with your potatoes and your sweet potatoes. Okay, they are not the same thing, but sweet potatoes will store a lot longer than your regular potatoes will. And speaking of potatoes, we have the first little sprouts of potatoes peeking up. That's the bellvine weed. But we have the potatoes are coming up. So for our climate, we planted our potatoes on St. Patrick's Day, which is kind of a fun way to mark the feast of St. Patrick. So those are just not quite peeking up through the soil yet. This trellis I'm planning to grow our loofah so we can grow our own sponges this year. Those seeds are already started in my kitchen. And this one right here is going to be corn, but already we have the start of some strawberry ground cover. So this strawberry is kind of funny. I bought kale and the kale is now gone, although there's one left from when it went to seed. But the kale had what I thought looked like a little strawberry seedling in it. Turns out I was right. These strawberries are all from one original strawberry plant. So I actually just let the runners go and it's taking over. So I'm excited to see what it does. We have a whole bed of strawberries in the kids' garden, in the raised beds inside the fence. So those are kind of where we get our strawberries. So I don't feel the need to cut off the runners. I kind of want to see what this does, and we can always use more strawberries. Who doesn't want more strawberries? So just excited to see what that does this summer. So then over here outside our little fence, we have the mulch pile. I got our mulch from Chip Drop. It's free. I highly recommend chipdrop.com. There's a high degree of uncertainty in that you don't know how much or when they will drop it off or if there will be logs. But regardless, it's just been an amazing resource for our family. This whole area used to be just full of weeds. It's actually our property all the way midway through the canal, but there is an easement for the road here so that they can come by and service the canal, which they haven't done in the several years since we've lived here. Regardless, it is all our land and we want to do what we can to take care of it. So one thing we've been battling back here is poison hemlock. And you can see these stalks that have kind of fallen over. Those are the remnants of last year's hemlock. The seeds are going into the irrigation water, which is flowing quite nicely now. It never actually stops flowing, and it looks like they might have turned something on because it's definitely higher and faster than it was when I was looking out here last week. I could see the bottom. This week, definitely not. But it really does flow all year. Some of the irrigation canals out here, we're on a different system. Some of them they actually turn off and you can walk all the way across in the winter. Not so with ours. It's always wet. Look, a pea is growing up under this tree. I have thrown down so many seeds on the side of this canal bank to try to grow other plants, anything other than the hemlock. It's just been a battle, and I will keep you updated on how that goes. But right now, see, there's the remnants of the tree that we cut down. The chipper is on the fritz. So if my husband can fix the chipper, then we will chip up the tree. Otherwise, it might be there for a while. But for weed control this year, I am putting down our mulch that we got from chipdrop.com, spreading it out. It's a little late. I would have preferred to get out here and had it all mulched before any of these sort of weeds already started coming up, but we do what we can, and imperfect is better than never done at all. So I still have a small mound left. I don't think it will get us all the way across the back, but I have ordered my next chip drop, which will come at some completely unknown time, sometime in the future, we hope. Heading back through the fence into the backyard, we have a fertilizer maker. I mean, my daughter's bunny. All this clover is coming up from seed I put down last year. I decided that instead of walking on wood chips and looking at wood chips, which are kind of ugly, I wanted to plant a living ground cover so I could walk barefoot and enjoy it. I'm not sure if I actually will do that because the canal has some harmless garden snakes that like to come through the fence and sometimes hang out in this clover. So I don't know if I actually will be barefoot. I probably will be. It's nice to have contact with the earth, even if you might step on a few snakes. Plus, we're gonna weed whack this down and that will keep it more to more of a low growth habit. So that's what we have in the pathways over there. And then over here in the play area, we had a weed tarp down when we first moved in until I learned how terrible that was for the soil, for the environment, all of that. So last season I spent a lot of time shoveling mulch out of here and tearing up the weed tarp, which was quite the workout, I must say. And then now I have actually put down that same seed. It was a little early. It said to wait till after average last frost, but my kids have been just playing in this dirt and coming in like Pigpen every day, which is great. Who doesn't want their kids playing in the dirt? Dirty kids means they're having fun and playing outside, so that's not too bad. But ultimate goal is to get it lush and green. So that one's a weed, but you can see that even though I spread the seed a little bit early, instead of waiting till May, we are getting these sprouting. So hopefully by May, we will actually have some ground cover, and then I can respread seed after that. So this arch behind me, I'm actually hoping to plant grapevine on either side. I just haven't found exactly the right vines that I want to plant yet, but we do hope to do that. These solar lights have lasted so long. We kind of expected that they would peter out after the season, but they are still going strong. Haven't done anything to them. I think one really tough storm blew them off, but I will link those down in case anybody wants some fun solar lights to decorate your trellises with. And these are the kids' raised garden beds. They have their initial for their name. We had the trellises on the north side last year, which is kind of where they should be so that they don't, the shadows and everything keeps the sunlight on your garden. But we already have the fence back there, so it just looks better to me to have the trellises growing. There are peas in there, but I don't think they have sprouted yet. We've got some potatoes barely coming up, some onions barely poking through, and then of course garlic down the middle. A couple of chive plants that have come back from last year. There's some anemic broccoli and some lettuce and chard, and looks like a couple of carrots from last year's seed have sprouted in Charlotte's garden. This is our strawberry patch, and it looks pretty good compared to what I thought it was gonna look like. Our chickens got out in this winter multiple times, and they just decimated these gardens. They dug and dug and dug, and I'm slightly bitter. I'm a little less bitter now that they are laying lots and lots and lots of eggs, but when they dug and ruined all of these garden beds, including scratching up all the strawberries, and were not giving us eggs, I was not happy. However, these do seem to be coming back okay. We even have the blossoms starting to open up, and I'm planning to add a little bit of mulch, straw mulch here pretty soon. Probably was for the best, because as you can see, there are still plenty of strawberry plants in here. It was really overcrowded. I did not do a great job of trimming up the runners, and so maybe the disaster is not such a disaster after all. So this area behind me is our raspberry patch. We have raspberries sprouting. I like to cut them all the way down. Usually I have done that in the fall. This past winter I left them so that insects and things like that could overwinter. I don't know if I will do that again. I kind of like cleaning up the garden entirely for the winter. We'll see what the mood strikes me, and it just makes for less cleanup in the spring, so I don't know what we'll do. This year we are pulling out the second row of raspberries. They were planted way too close together. I thought we could make it happen, but these just grow up in such abundance that they take up so much space that the second row of raspberries is just not feasible for us. And here's some of the blackberries. These blackberries don't actually taste very good fresh, but they are good for making jam, so that's what I save those for. Of course the kids eat whatever they want. In the meantime, I've got some mint coming up. It's going crazy as it always does. This is where we're gonna till. These were no dig, but I actually want to till this one time. I still will do it no dig, but just one-time till to clear out all the grass, because this is where I love to put flowers and my zinnias, and the grass is just taking over. So I want to till that up to make space for the beauty and the abundance of the season. Ooh, are these early sunflowers maybe? Or zinnias? It's too early for you. We might have a frost. Calendula seedlings? Maybe, potentially. Weeds. Need to weed. So this archway here, right outside the chicken garden, that's aspirational. The chicken mulch field is going to be for our David Austin roses. I can't remember their varietal. I think it's something like Marguerite or Margarita, but I am so happy they made it through the winter. We planted them in fall last year. They made it through the winter and they are greening up beautifully. I just need to get some garden tape and train them a little bit closer to the fence. Some of the branches are doing fine, but I want all of them to be coming up. And I'm thinking of finding some sort of vine that will grow quickly, like an annual vine, because I do expect it will be a while before the roses take over the whole trellis. And I just think it would be so fun and beautiful to have something covering it for this summer. And if it's an annual, it will just die off and make room for the roses as they grow up. Forgot to mention, we have this little area tarped off right now because we have an above ground pool that is super ugly, but just so many hours of fun for the kids. So that's that. We don't want to have the clover growing under it because, one, it saves us the seed, and then two, it smells bad when it dies, so don't want that. Looks like our blueberries are blossoming. At least these two made it. Oh, no, I see some new growth on the little one over here. All right, might need to prune off some of this dead stuff, but look, it's alive. We made it. Wrapping up our tour here a little bit, we are in the orchard. Our pear tree, we planted all of our trees from bare roots when we moved in about 4 years ago. We had a disaster with the peach trees that we got from Costco. They never did anything. They were just dead. So we returned those and just sticking to the more official nurseries. I wish I'd gotten out here a little bit earlier because there's still some blossoms on. This is the Bing cherry, and over here we have the what is this? The Rainier cherry. But this peach was so pretty, so we did get a peach from a different nursery that was already growing in a pot, not bare root. And my husband says he will never do bare root again. I don't think he knows what a massive scale I would plant trees on if I had the space, and how expensive that would be, but we don't have the space, so I don't have to worry about that for now. Anyway, regardless, this peach tree was so pretty in bloom a week, 2 weeks ago. I wish I'd gotten out here to get that for you, but life. Then we have the apple tree. No blossoms yet, but of course that is to be expected because the cherries and the peaches are earlier fruiting than the apples, and the pears don't fruit. Those are a winter pear, and they have not actually fruited yet. So I'll let you know if they do this year. We're really hoping. Last year we got a few apples, a few cherries, Rainier cherries. We didn't get any Bing cherries yet. And we got, did we get a peach? I think the birds got the peach. And this is what overwintered in this garden box. So kind of surprised about how it went. This was planted full of my fall veggies that I nurtured from seed throughout the summer, and the chickens happened. But these apparently survived the chicken attack. What is this? Must be broccoli of some kind. But because it grew over winter and the chickens decimated it, I'm just not sure what it is even supposed to look like. And then I have a few sort of little lettuce seeds in here. The peas that have not come up yet against that trellis. And looks like some celery maybe survive the chickens. And last but not least, this is my kitchen herb garden up here on the patio, and also greens. So lots of seeds for greens. There'll be spinach and baby lettuces, just things to be up higher. This is the higher garden box that I got for my birthday for Christmas last year. And so we've got parsley, we've got oregano, we have more thyme. It's just a little bit more accessible if I want to send one of the kids out while I'm cooking. Rosemary. There should be some, these are cilantro sprouts, but they're not quite coming up. So it'll be fun to see that all filled out. And then the chickens, of course, did a number on this. So certain things that I think would have overwintered, like this lavender, I don't even remember what some of this other stuff was. They scratched at the roots while it was winter. And so it could have overwintered, but didn't because chickens. So that's all for today, folks. Thanks for joining me for the spring garden tour. It's always a little bit vulnerable to show it when it's all bare and nothing's really happening yet. It's all happening beneath the surface. But one of my friends said, actually, no, send me pictures. That's exactly my favorite part of the garden season, when everything's cleared and prepared and there's just so much potential. So I'm very excited to show you what we do over the season and how it goes. So I hope you'll stick around, journey with us as we grow throughout the season. God bless, happy gardening.